I guess I have to officially open the meeting. So we'll open the meeting and we can approve the last minutes. Did everybody get a copy of the minutes?
I did not.
I did not.
Okay, there's been a little bit of, let's hold off on approving the minutes because we are, I'm going to jump down to the third thing. Ashley is leaving. So we once again are looking for a director. I don't know the reason. I don't think it has anything to do with EDC, truthfully. I think, you know, she had a death in her family and she went back to California and, you know, just decided to stay. That's where she's from. And, you know, I wish her well. I feel bad that she's leaving. I thought she did a really good job. And I think that Walpole and I think Jim Johnson and the folks at Town Hall knew what they had, and they started to give her a lot of responsibility. And I think they knew they had a good one there. So I don't know which direction they're going, but you know, how it means to us is that you know, for the time being, we don't have a director, but we're okay with that. We've been there before. I'm sure they'll fill it relatively soon. Hey, John.
Sorry about that, guys. I was trying to get off the other meeting. I apologize. I sent email to Ashley. It doesn't be a little late, but okay. She's not here.
Yeah, no, we were just discussing that. She's going to. So, John, just to fill you in real quick, Ashley is not going to be working with Walpole after, I think, January. I think she's going to be working remotely until they can transition her position. But she's decided to move on from Walpole and move back to California, where she's from. It's a shame. I thought she did a nice job, as I said before, and she'll be a tough one for them to fill the shoes of, for sure. She did a lot of things for the town, and you know, politics aside, I don't usually let politics sway me as to whether or not I think someone did a good job, and I think she did a great job in what she was doing. So you know, it's a shame. I hate to see her go. I liked her personally, and I certainly liked her professionally. So, you know, having said that, we've been here before. I'm sure they'll find someone good to fill the position, and we'll just wait and see what that's going to bring. Until then, luckily we have Amy, who has been kind of keeping us up to date on the agenda and the meetings and whatnot. She does a good job, and you know, she's not going to be acting as director, but I think she will handle a lot of the administrative side of the things that we need to have happen with the agendas and with the meetings, and then any minutes, she'll handle that. So she's doing a great job as well. So, you know, hopefully she won't get too busy with a lot of the 40B stuff she's working on, and but you know, we'll try to help her out as much as possible until they can find someone to fill that role. So that's the way it stands now. Could change. I don't know. I'm hearing things, you know, just from Jim. So Jim Johnson. So, you know, things might change. I don't know where we stand today, but that's the last that I heard of it. So, you know, take that for what it is. But we certainly wish her well with whatever she's going to be doing next. Anybody have any comments or want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think we ought to send her a letter of commendation or something, and you know, that we're grateful for her service and so forth, so that when she applies for something else, you know, she'll have something in her folder.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ken. That's a great idea, and I also think maybe we ought to send her something from EDC, just something, condolences for her grandfather, who she was very close to.
Oh, she was going back because her grandfather, something happened to her grandfather?
Yeah, she initially went back as her grandfather passed away, and she was out there with family, and again, this is what I'm hearing from Jim, and decided that you know, she was going to stay with her grandmother and pursue her career moving forward out there. So you can't blame her for wanting to be around family, certainly.
No.
And but I think that, you know, I'm going to ask what we can do for the letter that you talked about, Ken. I think that's a great idea, and then also sending her something for the loss of her grandfather. I think that'll be nice. All right.
Who takes care of that now, Mark?
I'm going to ask Amy if she can point me in the right direction, but if not, I'll just ask Jim directly.
Okay.
We can do that. And, you know, if it's a budget thing, you know, we still have a pretty good budget left over from 2 years ago, our last Main Street Live event. So, you know, if we have to pull something from there to send flowers or whatever we're going to send, we can certainly do that without a problem.
I'm okay if we can't, I don't know if we can, but if we can't, just personally spending a few bucks or whatever else too.
Yeah, if we can do that, then I certainly will be on board with that as well. No problem at all. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to, but you know, the rules are weird, so I'll ask Jim about that as well. But again, I don't see why that we couldn't do that personally. Everything gets overcomplicated. I think, John, if we individually wanted to send her something saying sorry about your grandfather, we could do that. But if we pooled our money as a group and sent it on behalf of EDC, that might be different. So I just want to make sure on that one. But yeah, we'll make sure something gets to her from all of us. Okay, I forwarded everybody an email regarding Moose Hill, the 40B that's going up there just now. We have to have some comments in if we want to before January 6th. So in your copious spare time, if you guys want to look at that and get familiar with the project, and then, you know, we can put some comments together and then decide whether or not we want to, you know, provide an opinion, and if we do, what that opinion is.
You said you just sent it, or?
I just now emailed it. Meg, I think I have your Gmail. I don't know if I send it to.
Oh, okay. That's
your work or your Gmail.
Okay, that's fine.
So if we could look at that again, it's, you know, I'm all for any appropriate 40Bs, simply because every one we put in helps us in terms of our numbers with the state, and therefore reduces our need for other programs that may or may not be coming down the pike at the next town meeting.
Yeah, I agree, Mark, especially because this is a small one. Like, it's been nice to have a bunch of small ones and one giant, you know, massive one.
Yeah, you know, the small ones that are neighborhood appropriate, and quite frankly, as we've discussed before, with the way Walpole sits in our geographical area that defines 40Bs, there's not a huge difference between a 40B rental rate and a market value rental, because we're grouped in with Newton and Brookline and everybody else, so our numbers go way up. So I think a 3-bedroom affordable apartment in Walpole is like $2,500 a month, and the market rate is like $3,000 to $3,100. So that's not a huge difference in the price. So we're lucky there that, you know, we can keep the look kind of the way we want it, and kind of what's appropriate for Walpole, and still hit that affordable number. So yeah, I don't want to see a big 550 unit monstrosity go in somewhere, but hey, if we have to and there's a spot for it, then then go for it. But I wouldn't want it to be looming over any neighborhoods. You know, that's what would work. I don't think there are any neighborhoods in town except for up there on Summer. I know, Harry, you're opposed to that one. Is that one still moving, Harry?
I believe the builder came back again and wanted to raise the height of the total building and increase more apartments or something. So the neighborhood was blown away by that, and they've hired an attorney, and that's all I know so far.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that can be done, but yeah, that's going to be, if he wants to put more, what's he at right now? 350 units, something like that? And he wants to go up from that?
He wants to increase I think there was a bunch of them that were going to be single families, and I think he's trying to get away from the single families and pack more units in and increase the height of the structure.
Add a story or just increase the height?
Couldn't tell you if it was a full story but I know it's increasing.
Yeah, just sometimes it's like, oh, wait a minute, his original plan is 2 feet over the limit, so he's looking for a variance, or is he looking to add a story and go that way? That would be interesting to me to find out. Because I think it's already 3 stories, right? There's no way they're going to give him 4 stories. They wouldn't even give the hotel out on Route 1 4 stories. There's no way they'll give him that.
All I know is I have my "Don't Tread on Me" flags, and I've got my gun permit now. So
surprised the chief gave you one, Harry.
Oh,
Uh,
all right. Well, yeah, Harry, keep us up to date on that, because you know, they haven't asked us for any opinion on that one, and yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what the impact would be and what the benefit would be from an economic development standpoint versus the, you know, the downside, which is the impact on the neighborhood. I'd be interested in knowing about that.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's on the outskirts. I would assume a good majority of those people are going to use services more on Route 1 in Foxborough, maybe Norfolk, than versus going all the way into Walpole Center.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, they won't use the train station because they have a better one right there at Gillette.
Yeah, that's been closed. That's shut down, by the way. They stopped
Lack
serving.
of use.
Probably a host of reasons, but they've stopped the service line altogether. The only thing we have now is a couple freight trains.
Well, I guess my question is it temporary because of COVID? Because I know the T is closing a lot of stops, or would it have happened anyway?
It's temporary because of COVID, to be revisited.
But I think because of the trial program, the ridership was also way
Right.
down. So that was another reason too. It still might have not been renewed and waiting for a later time. Maybe again, when all the 40Bs come in and more development happens up at Patriot Place. I mean, he wants to probably put in 500 condos up there too at Patriot Place. So
Yeah, even before COVID, that ridership was really light going that way.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, if he wants it, he'll figure out a way, regardless. But if we do end up putting that 40B up there, then that train station might not be a bad idea. If they're going to continue to use the tracks anyway. If they're going to use the tracks for freight anyway, then, you know, we might as well keep those people out of Walpole Center just for the train. I'd love them to come down and eat, but it's like 2 different towns. They're not going to come down and eat. I know the fire chief was I don't know if he was serious or not, but I know he would love to get another station up on Route 1, just to put like 1 engine and 1 bus just to handle, especially if they put that 40B up there, and if they, you know, with the preserve up there and then all the new business coming in. He says that's his biggest problem is getting up to Route 1 in that stretch of Walpole. That's, you know, you got to go through Foxborough, Sharon, and then it's Walpole again. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll reopen the one down by Summer Street, Harry.
Yeah. Well, again, we're just going to be putting up barriers shortly and starting our own government in South Walpole.
Well, now that you're all armed, you know, you could just probably do that. All right. Well, so I guess if people could just look over and then we can discuss it at our next meeting, the Moose Hill. And, you know, I think as a board in the past, we've shown that unless something is a complete inappropriate situation, that we've always pretty much been in favor of these 40B for a number of reasons. But from an economic development standpoint, it brings in revenue, and that's really the bottom line with it. But beyond that, it also helps out with our status with the state. So keep that in mind when you're looking at it. And again, you know, I haven't even seen the scope of it yet, so I don't know if it's going to look like somebody plunked a battleship down in the middle of the woods. Then, you know, I'm not going to be happy with that. But, you know, as long as it's appropriate, then, you know, you got to choose your battles, I suppose. All right. I want to move to something that I was just made aware of over the last couple of days, and Harry as well. Now we're going to move into open forum because we don't have it on the agenda. It's an interesting situation that I don't know if we know enough about it yet, but I want Harry to speak to it. It's back in August, the select board had an opportunity to vote for a grant, which would have helped the downtown businesses get through the COVID situation. It would have given them support to move their businesses outside, would have given the town support in trying to accommodate this. And the select board passed on pursuing that grant. We don't really know why. And I don't know enough about any restrictions to it to really comment yet until we do know. But Harry, why don't you move forward with that, let everybody know what's going on, and then we can talk about how, you know, if we want to go with any response or questions to the select board.
Sure. So basically the program is called Shared Winter Streets and Spaces Grant Program, offered through, it's up on mass.gov. Every municipality and public transit authority in the Commonwealth is eligible to apply for funding under this program. Basically, the Shared Streets and Spaces program, it was immediately popular with Massachusetts City and Towns. The program provides grants from $5,000 to $300,000 for quick build improvements to sidewalks, curbs, streets, on-street parking spaces, and off-street parking spaces in support of public health, safe mobility, and renewed commerce. We just missed a application date, which would have been 12/4, but the next 3 potential dates that could be met are January 5th, January 29th, or February 26th. Now, as Mark mentioned, I heard about this information from Sarah Khatib as I sit on the board of Downtown Destination, and we had assumed that the town would move forward on this. I think they got a little confused or perplexed as far as the scope of what they wanted to do, or basically what they wanted to do altogether. They started talking about closing the road, which we call, I guess, Elm Street Extension. It's the one piece of road that's between the gazebo park and the big flag and where the Christmas tree is park. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of discussion on traffic concerns, police, fire, accessibility, bus coming through there, or the bus stop might be a different spot or location that they were discussing. But I think they kind of got wrapped on that a little bit too much. You know, when we were talking about it yesterday, myself, Mark, and Sarah, I think we all agreed that shutting that street down doesn't make any sense in Walpole Center. You might have seen the shutdown of the street in front of the theater in Norwood Center, where they laid down the fake grass and everything. That worked perfectly there because that road was very less traveled, and there was so many other roads around it. It would have worked in Walpole Center. But we are all in agreement that at the very least, what we could be doing here with these monies through the grant is to extend, I guess, square footage for the restaurants and some other commercial businesses on Main Street, and then put them, so basically almost take out 70% of some of the parking that's on street, right on Main Street, extend the workable space for the businesses and restaurants, and then put up barriers. Our quick comment that I had was, you know, you definitely need to be leaving some of the handicap spots. You could probably also leave the bus stop, which is right in front of the old town hall. But we should absolutely be looking at doing these improvements and going after this money. Why not? And hopefully, once it's done and done nice, I would like to see it all remain that way. So if we can spend these monies on, again, enhancing and extending workable space, we could also probably use some of this monies to improve the parking behind, like Jalapenos. I mean, the lot itself is really banged up, a lot of big holes and tough to find parking. It could probably be laid out better. And then also we could probably use some of these monies to improve the lighting right down on Main Street. It gets real dark down there near the Safari Vero, the dance studios. So I think that would be a great help to the local businesses, restaurants, and regular retail business, especially when the spring opens up and they can put their stuff right on the street. Those are my thoughts. So the select board is looking for the EDC and the Walpole Chamber to write letters of, I guess, approval that we would love to see the town go after this grant money, and then hopefully work with us to do these improvements. I don't know. One thing I'd like to add is the chamber president is that they could potentially use local construction workers somehow, some way. I'm not sure if that can happen, what the bid process is or not, but it'd be great if we can help local contractors as well, and the local businesses and restaurants. That's all I got.
Thanks, Harry. So that was a good overview, very detailed. I think some of the questions that I had after speaking with Sarah and Harry were, you know, I watched the select board meeting, and while I heard their concerns with the proposal that was in front of them, I also heard in the meeting that whether they move forward or whether this initial proposal ended up being viable or not, you know, they could shift within the scope of the grant and move to do other programs and other things in town, as long as it was for the same, you know, trying to achieve the same goal, which is helping, you know, the businesses downtown. So I guess my question to the select board would be just to understand what we don't understand yet about this. I mean, were they working under restrictions or parameters that we don't know about, which really kind of forced their hand if they didn't want to go with the proposal that was in front of them? And you know, quite frankly, if that's the case, yes, I don't think Walpole is set up to shut down a portion of that street right there for an extended period of time, at least not in its current configuration. But I didn't get that feeling from listening to the folks that were on that meeting and Ashley that they needed to be that specific for the grant application, that the specifics would come down the line once they made it to the next step. But they still decided not to move forward. So there must be something that is not apparent to me. So before we make any judgments or accusations or anything, which, you know, I don't have any intention of doing, but I would like to know what the thought process was about not going after grant money that would help the businesses downtown.
Mark, could we get the select board to provide us some sort of an executive summary on this discussion so that we as a group could understand what their concerns are, what the positives and negatives are? Hard for us to go any further with really limited information. And if they're the ones that, you know, have stopped this so far, and there's, you know, good, smart people on that board, it would be helpful to to get an executive summary, one pager, something we could all look at and talk about at our next meeting. Well, you might have to talk before our next meeting, because you can't really wait a month. You've got January early is the next, oh, thank you, Harry. I see something coming over.
No, agreed. Yeah, what we had talked about was asking the select board to give us a rundown of why they made the decision they made. So an executive summary is that, and then we would look at it and decide what we wanted to do after that in terms of urging them to move forward. Because, like I said, I don't know what I don't know, and you're right. There are some very smart people that have been on that board and care about Walpole and would do whatever they could do to better the downtown. So there must be a reason that they decided not to move forward. I would like to understand what that is. And then
Mark, did they take a vote? Did they take a vote on this?
Harry, do you remember if they actually voted it or not?
I'm not sure. I think they just kind of put a pause on it and wanted to get feedback from EDC and the Chamber of Commerce. And again, some things that I think about, as far as aesthetics to the eye, I could see like Mark or some of the selectmen worrying about how downtown's going to look. I mean, when you get those big orange barriers, and it is a little ugly, but I remember way back when, probably 2 years ago, Mark, when we were talking about like sidewalk dining and those really, really nice barriers that they had. It almost looked like a nice wood back porch or deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. It doesn't have,
Right.
or planters or something. Maybe not in the winter, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to read the grant proposal, and I guess I'm not as rapid reader. I think we all have to look at what this proposal is and what you're entitled to or what you need to put in the grant, right? And what qualifies and doesn't qualify. And I do agree with Brian. It would be nice to know, what the select board was passing on. Are they asking for us to come up with a recommendation? Is we look for, this project to get done under this grant, which is more, we can all bandy around ideas to say, let's propose, this as an option. And move it forward.
Good idea. So I'll talk to either Ashley or Amy and put together a letter from the EDC just for clarification and a summary of that discussion and what their thought process was and what parameters they were using to make the decision, and what are they looking for from us to make this kind of thing happen. And once we get that back, and we'll put some urgency behind it so we can get it in before the next grant application deadline. And hopefully we can get some response from them and then urge them in the right direction, whatever that may be. And again, these grants can be tricky. Sometimes they tie you to things that you just can't fulfill, and it doesn't make sense. But other times, if you do get some leeway, especially in this world right now where these businesses, if we keep going the direction we're going, especially with the governor's decision today, then these businesses might not be here in 3 more months.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing too. With the hesitancy, could be number one, how long is it going to take to get the money? How long is it going to take to actually do what we wanted to do? And then cross our fingers and pray to God, maybe the virus is controlled by March or April, and it'll be like, why did we do all this? We're 100% green light, go again. Who knows?
Well, it still seems like it's something that would benefit the town, whether there's a pandemic or not. I mean,
absolutely. And we were having this discussion last night, and I said the reason why I started getting involved with the town was about 8 or 9 years ago, when I went to some meeting about downtown revitalization, and my first suggestion was let's extend the sidewalks to get the parking off of Main Street, and they looked at me like I was a crazy person, and because they agreed to never change the curbs. And I said, well, in the year 2300, are we still going to be going by that? And they said, we're never gonna change the curbs. And I said, no, what?
Oh,
So,
no,
so I've been fighting for that forever.
right,
No.
that's the first thing you need to do is widen the sidewalks.
Right.
And, yeah,
And they also said that we were never gonna be able to drink on town land, Harry, so.
Yeah,
We put that one to shame a couple of years ago, so we'll get past this one too. It's the right thing to do. There's so much evidence out there and examples of towns that have done this, that have said, you know, Main Street now, we don't want it to be a thoroughfare anymore. We want it to be, you know, a gathering district, a shopping district.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
place to stop.
they've all gone that direction of slowing down traffic, minimizing traffic, routing traffic around the center somehow. Now, I know Walpole doesn't set itself up for that very well, but it still could be done if somebody was motivated. So yeah, there's
And that,
evidence to show it
there's a
works.
lot of new residents between the three building projects downtown. So, you know,
Bingo, yeah,
yeah, we have a different population now, younger population, and probably better financially. So
Yep.
we should emphasize the downtown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
With regards to that, downtowns have thrived in other communities with all heavy density apartments downtown. Are we as a board, and I know personally I am, but as a board, are we supportive of the high density downtown?
well, I am.
I am too, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a big supporter of it in residential areas, but in downtown areas, I definitely am.
Yeah, I think individually we all look that way, but I couldn't be happier about what's going on downtown. I hope they can fill them, and I hope they fill them to capacity. And I hope those people start walking around saying, "Where are we going to eat?" Because
Exactly.
then you're gonna see the restaurateurs come in and start buying up those properties, and
They will. People will go down there and eat. They want to walk.
that's for sure. And you know, the businesses will follow.
But I think one of the issues though is that I looked at a piece of property and the zoning of it doesn't allow for high density. You have to almost go through hoops to get it. So have we made a recommendation? I know I asked Ashley this question, but have we made a recommendation to the selectmen town meeting to change the density requirements for the floor area ratio?
I don't know if a formal recommendation has been made, but it's been discussed literally dozens of times about how are we going to rework the central business district overlay to allow more density if appropriate. And, you know, it's a fine line because a lot of times you're going to be taking commercial property and changing the zoning to put a high density residential there, you know, and
Mixed use.
Yeah, but
First
you
floor.
can have
First
commercial
floor.
on the first floor.
Yeah,
oh,
mixed use.
I'm with you. I'm just relaying the argument that we will get.
But what is I don't follow the argument. The argument's what?
Well, a lot of times people are arguing that you're going to take commercial land and rezone it for mixed use or residential. I'm for that.
Retail, there's no such second floor retail is dead. It doesn't
Right.
work. But the first floor retail is only something that works. It doesn't work on second floor. So
Right.
in our center, all we have is first floor retail. I don't know of any second floor retail. So
No, we don't have any second floor retail.
No.
It's all commercial.
I think you're concerned the other way around, Mark, right? Of having residential on the first floor, which there shouldn't be.
Well, it's all commercially zoned right now, and so you have to jump through hoops, and people are reluctant, although I'm not reluctant. I was on planning board when all of those projects came to light, and, you know, I couldn't wait to get them in. And just
Mark.
Yeah,
honestly, couldn't wait. And we had to give up some things, though. Harry will tell you. Harry and I got in some arguments about this because they really started to try to go after that first floor and the commercial percentage that's in the bylaws, and you know, they played some funny games that we had to kind of acquiesce to. But my thought process was, we need the people, and then the downtown will thrive.
Yeah.
yep.
But
You make a recommendation to that allow maybe a higher density from second story up, so we don't lose that first floor commercial.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would
Oh,
love,
yeah.
I think
Well,
it's a good idea.
But so as Mark said, that was my debate and argument. The CBD requirements required about 30,000 square feet of commercial space on the first floor to be mandatory. We knew that there had to be some wiggle room there, because again, if you put high density people in downtown but don't have any business to offer them, what the hell's the sense, right? So we fought for the 30,000. Well, I think we were fighting for somewhere around 22,000 square foot in one of the spots, and about 25,000 in the other near the train station. And then the hoodwink was done, and oh yeah, that's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, we asked, okay, what's the actual square footage? And they said it was going to be 5,000 and 10,000, and we got screwed. It depends.
Retail?
What? Yeah. And basically, like the one at the train station, even the 10,000, I said, great, what are we going to be putting in there? I can't wait to start trying to attract businesses. And they said, oh no, we've already secured it. And I said, oh really? Why? Or how? And they said, well, we're calling that parking spots that we're renting for to the tenants, commercial space.
Oh,
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then the 22,000 that was supposed to be in place for the building, the old foundry, is nothing. I don't think there's, well, there might be two stores down that Glenwood Road. That's it.
But if we put a comprehensive zoning change together, we could put in the use table, what are the uses for commercial in the CBD district? We don't have to allow parking garage. We could ask, say,
Right.
restaurants, things like that, salons. You don't have to just because you zone a commercial doesn't have to allow every commercial use. That'd be like
Yep.
an asphalt plant on the first floor that's commercial. You can't do that. You can put a comprehensive zoning bylaw together that gives the actual uses you can use in the certain districts. So
Yep.
maybe we have a bylaw saying you can't put parking garage or parking structures or parking spaces allowed in the downtown district for commercial zoning. Now, in the building, you could have underground parking and everything else, but it can't be like, for example, on Main Street, you wouldn't want someone to pull in and have those be parking spots. That'd look awful.
no, but maybe in the back. That
Yeah,
might be-
back or underground.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, as you begin to find out and learn more, the fix was in. It depends on who you are as a developer in this town. They got away with what they wanted to get away with. The CBD already has those. I'm not sure as specific as it has to be this type of business. It should be that should be the case, but we would have to go through town meeting to get those changes done.
Yeah.
now but the train station, Union and West, which is a great building, in my opinion, but that was a little bit of a weird situation, and I don't want to spend a lot of time defending it here. I would have loved to have seen first floor restaurants and everything in that building. That, because of the way that area is right there and who owns the land surrounding the project, they were going to have 192 apartment units and no parking. And no parking for, and they had to fight for parking for the train station, for the T, for the private lots there, for the commercial buildings. And so the parking aspect of that under the building was really the make or break aspect of that, because you can't put 192 market rate units in and not have parking spaces for them. So we kind of acquiesced to that reluctantly because we wanted the building more than we didn't want the building. We wanted the building without the commercial more than we didn't want it at all.
Yeah.
Given what was there. So I don't disagree with Harry at all about, or John, in terms of moving forward with what we would propose, and I'd be behind that. But for that, I'm not sure I would use that one as an example, because that was a do or die on that parking, and in my opinion, we would still have nothing there.
As you remember, Mark, during their proposal and their sales pitch, well, these people are all aren't going to even have cars. They're all going to be using the train to go in and out of Boston. They don't need cars. they'd be lucky if there's 1 car per apartment. So, yeah, we'll be able to get that retail space in there, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, again, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and it was again, we could sit here for hours talking about that, and believe me, that took years off my life, that deal. But it, you know, there was confusion as to who owned what parking lots. You know, the dirt lot down behind, they figured out that wasn't even on any of the books in Walpole. They couldn't even figure out who owned that land, much less whether or not it was zoned to be a parking lot. and they couldn't, you know, they couldn't use the parking lot across the street. They only could use this, you know, so it was a nightmare with parking. But we did what we had to do. But John, to swing back to your point, I agree completely that, you know, the zoning downtown needs to be changed and needs to have a growth plan for what we want downtown to be like. And right now, I don't think that plan exists. And I know
Really?
Sarah Katiev's been fighting for a new plan for Walpole in the downtown area. Everybody that cares about this town has been asking for a master plan, at least part of a master plan that contains what the future is going to be like for the central business district. And I think the problem's been that no one's gotten the ball rolling as far as I know on that. So putting something together that we might be able to take in front of town meeting, John, might be the kick in the butt that the overall project needs to get, because it will, whether it passes or not, it will now get a look, and a serious look, from people that can make changes happen. And it may pass, because if we can put it together in a comprehensive way that is well thought out, downtown's right for it. I mean, they opened up all those apartments, and then we basically shut down our lives, so everything's been on pause. When this is all behind us, that downtown is going to experience some growth, and if we don't have a plan, it's going to end up being a nightmare. You know, to Harry's point, it's going to all end up being who put the most money into the deal to get what they want, as opposed to having to stick to a master plan that outlines the way it's going to be. So I'm all for that. How we get the ball rolling on that, you know, maybe we put together a work group, John, that you could certainly head up if you wanted to, and start looking at what the possibilities are. Maybe get with Harry and Sarah Katiev, who's been an advocate of this for a long time, and a few members from EDC.
Volunteer too.
Yeah, that's great, Meg. Anybody that wants to get involved with it, but, you know, and really get the ball rolling on that, because it's been a long time since EDC has sponsored any kind of an article at town meeting, and I think this one would be perfect, because I think it's probably the most needed thing for Walpole right now.
Yeah.
Moving forward is how are we going to, what's the roadmap for expansion downtown?
Mark, question for you. If this group kind of forms some ideas, say, you know, we have a little brainstorming session, we you know, make 10 bullet points what we think will be good for the new zoning bylaw. We run it by the EDC, get everyone's input. From there, would we go to town council to help us draft it, our bylaw, or do we just give the idea? We would have to, if we go to town meetings, have the actual bylaw.
Right.
But do we, I mean, I can't draft a zoning bylaw. I mean, I don't know. Where would we start on that?
There are people that consultants that do that. I mean, there are planners that do that.
Typically, we would take it to whoever, either the director would have been, like, we would have taken it to Ashley, and she would have helped run it through and write the actual verbiage of what we wanted. You know, she did that for the inclusionary zoning bylaw. She was very heavily involved in putting that together. You know, barring someone like Ashley, there are people at town hall that can help with that. We would probably run it by and try to get support through the planning board and have them start the process for us. It would have to go through them anyway, in my opinion. Let me look into that a little bit now that we don't have Ashley. You know, I'm sure that I can still get questions answered from Ashley at this stage, but you know, I think that, you know, there's certainly, I know that there are mechanisms in place that will happen if we get the right bullet points in place. We'll get it on the warrant for sure. As long as we're not saying we want skyscrapers downtown.
Yeah.
No, but I think we have to have a vision, and then
Absolutely.
we back into the language, the big ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Mark, I gotta run to my dinner reservation.
Hi, Harry.
Old Harry for that
Bye, Harry.
outside.
Happy birthday again.
All right, thank you guys. Mark, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at the chamber meeting, and we can compare our letters if you want that we're gonna submit to the select board, okay?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Harry.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Harry.
All right, so why don't we
Tell them all.
see what he says. He left a hot mic. Oh, here he goes. He just he almost did it. He almost left his mic up. All right, let's. I really would like to move forward that, John. That's a great idea, and I think the select board would be really interested in seeing some ideas that we have. I will. Have you ever been in contact with Sarah Khatib?
I have not.
I'll make that introduction for you. She's great, very smart. Been on planning board for a long time. Has a good vision for the town, and just is overall great person. So I think that she'd love to talk to you, and she's been fighting for something like this for a long time. And I know she started that destination downtown group, which is only there to better the downtown area. And this is one of the ways that she wants to get moving forward. So I think would be a great marriage for you two to, EDC and Destination Downtown to work together and try to make this happen.
Okay, great.
So I'll start an email with both of you, make an email introduction, and then you two can have a conversation at your leisure and figure out how you want to work together. That'd be great.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much.
And then anybody that would like to sit on that subcommittee with John and work on that, let John know, and we'll put together a subcommittee, because that way you guys can meet even, you don't have to meet just once a month. We don't have to post any meetings if it's a subcommittee. You can work on this, as your schedules permit, and we won't be in violation of any open meeting laws or anything like that. So just let me know who wants to sit on that, and we'll go. I know, Meg, you had expressed interest, and just so I can make sure that everything is on the up and up.
Where would, if we want to get a plan of the downtown area, who would we talk to?
I'll ask Amy. I know obviously that those exist. I'll just have Amy track one down in engineering and send you one, and
Okay.
send you guys copies. And I'll also ask Sarah. I know they've done some things in her group, conceptual ideas as to what they think might work, might not work. But I'm sure she'll share that stuff with you as well. I think that'd be a great opportunity. All right. Anybody else have anything for open forum? I know we've gone a little longer than we thought tonight. Just to recap about Ashley, I don't know where we're going to be with her. I know she agreed to work remotely for a while just to aid in a transition, but I'll let everyone know where that stands. I will talk to Danelle and figure out what we want to send her from a personal standpoint with the passing of her grandfather, and also I will put together a draft at Ken's suggestion of thanking her for working with us and doing such a great job, and we hate to lose her, and all the the stuff that we really feel about her. So and we'll get that on behalf of the EDC. Am I forgetting things? Anybody know? We have to approve the minutes next time, because we didn't get the minutes. I don't know if that was me that didn't send it. Amy's been pretty good, so if I didn't send that out, I apologize. And at your leisure, if you can look through the Moose Hill situation and maybe email me back individually as to your thoughts on it. It can either be a, hey, I'm for this, or no, I'm not, or you can get in depth if you want to. But just so I can start formulating a letter to the zoning board about our comments on it. I can start to formulate that through the into one set of comments, but based on the group's feedback. So
Is there a date for that?
Will do.
When we have to get comments back to you?
well, they need it by January 6th, unless we need a little bit more time. I think their meeting is a few days after that. But I'll double check that and get back to you. All right. So we'll do the minutes next time, and I think that's it. I'm looking forward to this, John. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a great idea, and I think that it's going to be great for downtown and for EDC moving forward, and really putting some teeth into what we can do to help the town move forward. So it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with it. All right. I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk